For you, what is body fluid, or how can you describe body fluid? It states that it can be found in human body or in animals, which include blood, lymph, and other liquids that play essential roles in maintaining health and bodily functions. So let's define body fluids. Body fluids refers to any fluid produced by a living organism, a major component of our body that serves a vital role in our health as a medium for metabolic reactions within the cell and the transporter of nutrients and waste product. Now let's proceed to the regulation of animals' body fluid. First, we have homeostasis. It refers to the generally stable state that exists within an animal's body. Here are some examples. First, an animal consumes fresh water in its environment to increase its water levels, and an organism slows its breathing to increase the acidity in its bloodstream. Next is we have osmoregulation. It is the process of maintaining salt and water balance or osmotic balance across membranes within the body. The fluids inside and surrounding the cells are composed of water, electrolytes and non-electrolytes. Here is an example. Fish that do so by gaining water and salts from drinking water. And lastly, we have thermoregulation. It allows animals to control their internal body's temperature in environments that are outside their thermoneutral range. Here are some examples. Elephants spray themselves with water to cool down on a hot day. Penguin chicks huddle in a group to retain heat. So here we have some pictures to further understand the different kinds of regulation of animals' body fluid.
We have three methods to regulate their body fluids. First is homeostasis. It explains by which the body maintains a stable internal environment despite external changes. It regulates factors like temperature, pH, and fluid balance to keep conditions optimal for cell function. Just like example number 1. An animal consumes fresh water in its environment to increase its water levels. It says that the animal consumes fresh water to replenish its body's water levels, ensuring proper hydration and maintaining homeostasis. These help regulate vital processes like cell function, temperature, and fluid balance. In example number 2 is we have an organism slows its breathing to increase the acidity in its bloodstream. It also says that the organism slows its breathing to retain carbon dioxide, which increases the acidity of the bloodstream. These help regulate blood pH and maintain homeostasis in response to changes in metabolic activity. Second is we have osmoregulation. It says that the fluid inside and surrounding cells are composed of water, electrolytes, and non-electrolytes. So what is electrolyte and non-electrolytes? So electrolytes, it is the substance that can produce ions when dissolved in water. So we have two ions. We have cations and anions. These ions will help maintain vital process in the body, such as nerve function. Non-electrolytes, it can't or do not produce ions, do not conduct electricity in solutions. One of these example is ethanol, sugars, and urea. But it can still be important in biological process like energy storage and metabolism. One of example of this is the fish that do so is by gaining water and salts from drinking seawater. It says that fish that live in seawater, like marine fish, gain water and salts by drinking seawater. They actively excrete excess salts through specialized cells in their gills and kidneys, while retaining water to maintain osmoregulation and prevent dehydration. So, next one is we have thermoregulation. Thermoregulation is simply says that it is the process by which organisms maintain a stable internal body temperature despite external temperature changes. This is achieved through mechanisms like sweating, shivering, and adjusting blood flow. Just like Two examples: elephants spray themselves with water to cool down on a hot day. Second is penguin chicks huddle in a group to retain heat.
Okay, regulation of plants' body fluid. What are plants? Used in osmoregulation to regulate fluids in their bodies. Plant cells depend on vacuoles to manage the osmolality of their cytoplasm. A lighter, plants regulate water fast by the use of stomata on the underside of their leaves. Stomata regulate gas exchange between the plant and environment and control of water loss by changing the size of the stomata pore.
Water regulation in plants involves the control of water uptake, movement, and loss to maintain internal balance. Water is absorbed by roots and transported through the xylem to the leaves. Transpiration. It is the loss of water through stomata and creates a pool that helps draw water from the roots. So stomata open and close to regulate water loss based on environmental factors. Plants also store water in vacuoles and specialized tissues, while hormones like abscisic acid trigger stomatal closure during drought. When we say abscisic acid, it is the plant hormone that helps plants respond to stress, especially drought. It triggers stomatal closure to reduce water loss, promotes seed dormancy, and aids in roots growth for better water uptake. So, this regulation ensures proper hydration, nutrient transport, and overall plant survival. So we have three factors of fluid movement of water in plants. First is root pressure. It simply says that water absorbed by the roots and creates a positive pressure that pushes water upward through the plant, especially in smaller plants. It helps to move water into the xylem. So second is we have capillarity. When we say capillarity, water moves upward in narrow xylem vessels due to cohesion. Cohesion, it means the water molecules sticking to each other, and adhesion, it is the water molecules sticking to the vessel's walls, helping water rise against gravity. Third one is transpiration. It says that water vapor loss through stomata creates negative pressure in the leaves, pulling more water from the roots through the plant to replace the lost water, driving upward movement of water.
Different types of plants. Mesophytes. Plants grow in moist soil, able to quickly compensate for water loss via transpiration by absorbing an increased amount of water. Protection for water loss. Cuticle. Waxy outer covering that protects the leaves and stems of plants from excessive water loss. May help to prevent excessive water loss. Xerophytes. Plants that survive in dry environments, store water in vacuoles, have thick cuticles, have structural adaptations, such as needle-shaped leaves or shielded stomata. Halophytes. Plants that live in salty settings, manage not only their water intake and loss. Hydrophytes. Plants that grow in or near water or wet settings and have ability to absorb water throughout their whole surface.
A plant requires water as an essential ingredient of photolysis, the photochemical stage of photosynthesis, where water is split using light energy. This is the part of the process in which a plant obtains its energy and thus illustrates the importance of water to a plant. Factors of fluid movement of water in plants. Roots pressure. This factor is brought about by osmosis and the unequal concentration of water across the plant. Osmosis will occur up the plant until there is unequal concentration. Capillarity. This is due to adhesion, the force of attraction between two different particles. When water passes up the thin xylem tubes It adheres to its surface area, while force of osmosis gentle pushes the water molecules to their desired location. Transpiration pool. This is thought to be the major force that allows water to be transported throughout a plant. Water is transferred by a plant via stomata, which means water concentration in this area will be especially low.
Here's a simplified version of the differences in fluid regulation between plants and animals. Aspect. Main fluid. In plants, water in xylem and phloem. In animals, blood, lymph, and urine. Fluid transportation in plants through vascular tissues, xylem, and phloem. In animals, through circulatory system, heart, and blood pressure. Water uptake. In plants, through roots from the soil, and in animals, through drinking and food absorption. Water loss. In plants, through transpiration stomata. In animals, through sweat, urine, and evaporation. Excretion. In plants, stored in vacuoles, leaves, or salt glands. In animals, kidneys, wet glands, or excretory organs. Osmoregulation. In plants, focus on water and turgor pressure. In animals, focus on water and salt balance in blood and tissues. Structures. In plants, roots, stomata, vacuoles, and salt glands. In animals, kidneys, gills, sweat glands, and heart. Fluid regulation mechanism. In plants, it's passive osmosis and transpiration. In animals, it's active in kidneys, filter, hormonal control.
So, in conclusions, the regulations of body fluids in both animal and plants is essential for maintaining homeostasis and ensuring survival. In animals, this process is typically managed through integrate systems such as osmoregulation, which helps balance water and solute concentrations, and through organs like kidneys and gills. Similarly, plants regulate water and nutrient flow via structures like roots, stomata, and xylem, maintaining hydration and enabling efficient nutrient transport. While the mechanisms differ between kingdoms, both organisms have evolved sophisticated strategies to maintain fluid balance, responding to environmental changes to optimize growth, reproduction, and overall function. Understanding these regulatory processes highlights the remarkable adaptations that support life in diverse habitats. That's all for today. Thank you for listening.